Prince Rogers Nelson was born on June 7, 1958 and died on April 21, 2016, known mononymously as Prince, was an American singer, songwriter, musician, and actor. Regarded as one of the greatest musicians of his generation, he was known for his flamboyant, androgynous persona, wide vocal range, which included a far-reaching falsetto and high-pitched screams, as well as in his skill as a multi-instrumentalist, often preferring to play all or most of the instruments on his recordings. His music incorporated a wide variety of styles, including funk, R&B, rock, new wave, soul, synth-pop, pop, jazz, blues, and hip-hop. Prince produced his albums himself, pioneering the Minneapolis sound. Prince was an American singer, songwriter, musician, and actor who had a net worth of $200 and $300 million at the time of his death in April 2016. Early life. Prince was born Prince Rogers Nelson on June 7, 1958, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. His mother, Mattie Della, was a jazz singer, and his father, John Lewis Nelson, was a pianist and songwriter. His parents and all of his grandparents hailed from Louisiana. Prince's sister, Tyka, was born 2 years after him. Encouraged by his parents, both siblings had a strong interest in music. Prince wrote his first song on his father's piano when he was just 7 years old. Prince's parents divorced when he was 10, and from then on, he had a fractured relationship with his parents and eventually step-parents and half-siblings. He would often bounce from home to home. Prince's dad ultimately kicked him out. Prince played football, basketball, and baseball at Central High School. He was also a student at the Minnesota Dance Theater. He continued to play recreational basketball as an adult. Personal life. Prince married Maite Garcia in 1996. He was 37 and she was 22. They had a son, Amir Nelson, in 1996, who died at 1 week old of a rare genetic syndrome. The couple divorced in 2000. Prince was married to Manuela Testolini from 2001 to 2006. Prince followed a strict vegan diet and became a Jehovah's Witness in 2001. He didn't speak publicly of his philanthropy, but his humanitarian and charitable efforts were the subject of much publicity after his death. He anonymously donated large chunks of cash to libraries and anonymously paid off the medical bills of various struggling musicians, as well as countless other acts of charity. Career. In 1973, Prince met songwriter and producer Jimmy Jam. Jimmy Jam was thoroughly impressed with Prince's musical talent and his mastery of a wide range of instruments. Prince created his demo tape in 1976 with producer Chris Moon in his Minneapolis studio. After initial failure to get a recording contract, Moon brought the tape to Minneapolis businessman Owen Husney, who signed Prince to a management contract. Husney helped him create a new demo tape that resulted in interest from dozens of large record companies. Prince signed with Warner Brothers. Husney and Prince left Minneapolis for Sausalito, California, to record his first album at Record Plant Studios. Prince released his first album, For You, on April 17, 1978. Prince wrote, arranged, composed, produced, and played all of the 27 instruments on the recording himself. Next, he released the self-titled album Prince in October 1979. This album catapulted him to fame with 2 hits, Why You Wanna Treat Me So Bad, and I Wanna Be Your Lover. In 1980, he released Dirty Mind, which became notorious for its sexually explicit material. Recorded in his own studio, the album went gold. 1981 marked Prince's first appearance on Saturday Night Live, performing Party Up. He toured in support of his next album, Controversy, opening for the Rolling Stones on their U.S. tour. From 1984 to 1989, Prince referred to his band as The Revolution. Prince had required his management to obtain a deal for him to star in a film, despite the fact that his exposure was still somewhat limited at this point. The deal resulted in the infamous hit film Purple Rain in 1984. Prince starred in it and did the soundtrack. The film was loosely autobiographical. Purple Rain sold more than 13 million copies in the U.S. It spent 24 straight weeks at number 1 on the Billboard charts, and Prince won an Oscar for Best Original Song Score. Songs from the film, like When Doves Cry and Let's Go Crazy, became international chart toppers. In 1984, Prince had the number 1 album, single, and film in the U.S. simultaneously, marking the first time a singer had ever obtained all three at the same time. One track off the album, Darling Nikki, resulted in the founding of the Parents Music Resource Center and the subsequent use of a now standard warning label that read Parental Advisory. Explicit lyrics on the covers of records that have been judged to contain lyrics not suitable for minors. In the 90s, during a drawn-out confrontation with his then recording company, Warner Brothers, Prince changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol. At that time, he was generally referred to as the artist formerly known as Prince. He stopped using the love symbol as his name and reverted back to his old name once his relationship with Warner Brothers had officially ended in May 2000. Prince released 5 records between 1994 and 1996 and signed with Arista Records in 1998. With Arista Records, Prince released 16 more albums. His most successful album of the 2000s was 2004's Musicology. Prince's final album, Hit and Run Phase 2, was released in 2015. Prince has long been regarded as one of the most talented and versatile musicians of all time. Assets. NPG Publishing, the entity that owns his songwriting copyrights. Comerica pegged the value of NPG at $21 million. The IRS pegged the value at $37 million. Writer's share of songwriting catalog Comerica pegged $11 million. The IRS pegged $22 million. NPG Records, Prince's record label. Comerica pegged the value at $19.4 million. The IRS pegged $46.5 million. Paisley Park, 149 acres of mostly undeveloped land in Chanhassen, Minnesota. Comerica pegged $11 million. IRS pegged $15 million. Estate value. Prince famously owned most of his work, including his publishing rights, aka the copyrights to his songs. When Prince died, he did not have a will. The value of his estate passed to 6 adult family members, one of whom, a half-brother, died in 2019. In the years following Prince's death, there was a furious debate over the value of his estate. The estate's administrator, Comerica Bank and Trust, submitted an estimate of $82.3 million as the total value of Prince's assets, which includes real estate, music rights, name, and likeness. In January 2021, the Internal Revenue Service claimed Prince's estate was drastically undervalued and was actually worth closer to $163.2 million. The IRS served his estate with a notice of delinquency in June 2020, seeking an additional $32.4 million in federal taxes dating to the 2016 tax year, plus an additional $6.4 million accuracy-related penalty. Comerica and Prince's estate requested a trial over the dispute. In January 2022, the IRS and an administrator of Prince's estate came to an agreement that the estate was worth $156.4 million. Homes. Prince owned a number of homes around his hometown of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Prince's primary personal mansion was a 160-acre waterfront property on Lake Lucy and Lake Ann. For a time, Prince lived in his famous Purple House in Minneapolis. The local Star Tribune reported that Prince owned a total of 12 properties in Chanhassen, Minnesota, at the time of his death. Carlos Boozer Home Rental. In 2005, a then 23-year-old Carlos Boozer decided to buy a 10-bedroom, 18,000-square-foot mansion in LA's Bel Air neighborhood. Before he could actually move in, Carlos had to report to Utah for training camp with the Jazz. Instead of letting the luxurious mansion sit empty, he hired a realtor who listed the property for rent. Dozens of interested parties came forward. Carlos ultimately agreed to rent the home to Prince after the musician offered to pay $95,000 per month in rent for a year. Prince famously proceeded to replace the front gate decorative lions with a large emblem of his symbol. Throughout the home, Prince replaced white Italian carpets with purple carpets. Inside the home, Prince had removed all the equipment in the weight room to make way for a nightclub, complete with a dance floor and DJ booth. He turned one of the bedrooms into a hair salon and another into a massage parlor. His symbol was emblazoned everywhere. In the master bedroom, Prince painted the walls purple and added a black carpet. An ESPN story from 2011 detailed what happened, as told by former Chicago Bulls guard Jay Williams during an appearance on the Waddle and Sylvie radio show. Accolades. Prince won a Golden Globe, 7 Grammy Awards, and an Academy Award during his career. The recording artist reportedly has several hundred unreleased songs in his catalog. He was inducted posthumously into the R&B Music Hall of Fame in 2016. Death. On April 7, 2016, Prince postponed 2 shows in Atlanta, releasing a statement saying he was recovering from the flu. He rescheduled for April 14 and performed his final show on that day, even though he was still feeling unwell. On a flight back to Minneapolis the next morning, Prince became unresponsive. His private jet made an emergency landing in Illinois, where Prince was hospitalized and received Narcan, a medicine used to block the effects of an overdose of opioids. After he was revived, he left, against medical advice. He was seen shopping at a record store, cycling, and at an impromptu dance party at Paisley Park the next day. A 911 call came in the morning of April 21 requesting an ambulance be sent to Paisley Park. Prince was found unresponsive and the paramedics performed CPR, but it was discovered that he had been dead for over 6 hours. On June 2, the official word was that Prince had died of an accidental overdose of opioid fentanyl. He was 57.